Let's look at the highlights of the game, starting with the first half.
Yeah, well, look, it was, I suppose, Fianna dominated really the first half and had lots of, great scores that they were able to pull together, from midfield right into their forward line. In the opening 10 minutes or 11 minutes, they had 1-5 on the board against just 2 scores for Raheny. I guess the big difference between the sides in the opening half was that little bit of pace. Fianna were able to get the ball up front a little bit quicker and then had that quality when they did get there to take on these scoring opportunities, as you see from David Lacey, who had a great day up front for Fianna this evening. Again, these pace runners, it's very hard to try and stop this when guys are flying by you at pace, and then you have the quality coming around the corner in the likes of Conor McHugh, who's knocking it over the bar. So inside that first 10, 11 minutes, just the chances came so easy. Again, Aaron Byrne there with the goal chance. Gavin Ivory and goals did well to get a boot on it to turn it round. David O'Hanlon, resulting 45, knocked it over the bar. But here's the goal. Great ball in from Conor McHugh. Picks it up on the spin and then takes his time in order to get the goal. And at that point, it's 1-5 to 2 points. And it's you're thinking Fianna have all the time the ability to push ahead. Managed to get another score. Aaron Byrne, brilliant again in terms of the score he created. And then they went tit for tat really in terms of scores. Fianna got a score, Raheny got a score. There was no real fluidity, I suppose, in some of Raheny's play in that opening half. I mentioned at half time they were probably a little bit passive in terms of their defending. It was very easy, there was too much space. Again, look at Lacey here, he's time to turn, bring it inside. There's no one trying to get near him, and it's ultimately his midfielder, Brian Fenton, who's getting back to try and put press on. In fairness, Raheny did dig in, they won a couple of frees. That managed to keep them in the game. Again, another opportunity here in terms of a goal. I suppose when you see Brian Fenton inside you probably think point is a better option, and Conor McHugh did that, knocked it over the bar. Again, pushed on Raheny all the time, just trying to create that little bit of something up front. Point from play, that was just before the 20-minute mark, and then it was only one score that Raheny managed to get from there. So while wing-back Dara Kennedy knocked on a score, there was only one further score which came from a free from Gavin Ivory to half-time, and from there it was Fianna with David Lacey who gave a display, first from a place ball, and then he manages to get 2 great scores from play. But again, it's just cutting through where there's no press coming on the pass. Potts, who was brilliant throughout in terms of just breaking the line and popping the ball back. Lacey knocks it over the bar, but again, Owen Merchant this time just picks out a pass. Look, far too easy. You break the line, you break the defender, and there's no one really coming in to tackle. And at half-time then it's 1-11 to 6 points. And as I said, it was a long road back then, or it certainly appeared to be for Raheny. Brilliant start to the second half. Brian Howard tacks on a score, then a free follows shortly afterwards. Knocked over the bar again there from Sean Hendrick, who's consistent enough. I guess this is where, Raheny had a problem. Every time it broke out, it looked like Fianna were going to be able to get a score, which they did. So while it took them maybe a couple of minutes to open up their account, started the second half. And then you had this kind of half goal chance that maybe came. Ball drops for Grennan, he knocks it over the bar. And this is followed up by the goal. So if you're looking at where this starts out, probably big chance here that was left behind and was a big swing when you think about it. He pulls the trigger there, there's a goal chance, or worse still, maybe a save. They get a ball away. And then as the ball drops in here, so there's already guys in around the square, so they're not outside in terms of when the ball is kicked. So, square ball would generally be expected there. It's not spotted, the goal is given. I think that's what Fianna were arguing about. In fairness to them, they regrouped, they managed to get 2 scores on the spin. Conor McHugh cuts inside, used the fist to knock this one over. He'd picked up a knock in terms just before that, but again gets inside here, lovely touch with the hand, just knocks it into a little bit of space, drives it over the bar, although it was a bit contentious because the umpire's waving wide and Fianna went after the referee to say that it went over and it was awarded. So that's 47 minutes on the clock. It's 1-14 to 1-9, so it's a 5-point game. And then there's this foul that's made. So to me, there's yellow card issue there. Johnny Cooper already has a yellow card, so he potentially should be sent off at that point. Raheny again dig in, they cut the gap down to 4, but then you're springing someone off the bench. Kieran Redden, guy with plenty of experience, is represented at the Dublin at the top level, gets a score and just again cuts off the momentum, and then it finishes out tit for tat in terms of the scores. But at that point, the game is probably done. It didn't really look like Raheny had it in him to create a goal scoring opportunity, so they were going to need that to try and turn the game. A couple of balls dropped in. David O'Hanlon maybe at times wasn't as commanding in around the goal as maybe Fianna would like, but they'd probably done enough, and every time they broke out, there's space here, you need a goal. Conor McHugh is going to take on David Shadwell. He doesn't, he just knocks it over the bar, wraps it up at 1-17, and it finishes out then just with the last score from Fianna substitute Ivers. knocks it up then at a full-time score of 117, 113. But Na Fianna fully deserving of the victory. The better performance, I think, throughout, albeit the second half Tom Gray won't be overly pleased with. Raheny have a lift now. They need to get themselves ready for 2 weeks' time in terms of their second day out. And looking at that, they do need to just add a little bit more pace into what they're trying to do in order to finish out with a result.